Young men walking the open streets of Death's Republic, remember your lovers.
When you foresaw with vision prescient the planet Pain rising across your sky, we fused your sight in our soft burning beauty. We laid you down in meadows drunk with cowslips and led you in the ways of our bright city.
Young men who wander Death's vague meadows, remember your lovers who gave you more than flowers.
When truth came prying like a surgeon's knife among the delicate movements of your brain, we called your spirit from its narrow den and kissed your courage back to meet the blade. Our anaesthetic beauty saved you then.
Young men whose sickness death has cured at last, remember your lovers and covet their disease.
When you woke, grave-chilled at midnight, to pace the pavement of your bitter dream, we brought you back to bed and brought you home. From the dark antechamber of desire into our lust, as warm as candle flame.
Young men who lie in the carven beds of death, remember your lovers who gave you more than dreams.
From the sun sheltering your careless head, or from the painted devil your quick eye, we led you out of terror tenderly, and fooled you into peace with our soft words, and gave you all we had, and let you die.
Young men, drunk with death's unquenchable wisdom, remember your lovers who gave you more than love.
Remember Your Lovers. The poetry of Sidney Keyes. Poet Sidney Keyes was born in Dartford in Kent on May the 27th, 1922. He had a solitary childhood. His mother died when he was just 6 weeks old, and his father was ill and often absent. He was largely raised by his grandfather, a difficult and irascible man, who Sidney remembered in his first major poem, Elegy, written when he was 16.
April again, and it's a year again since you walked out and slammed the door, leaving us tangled in your words. Your brain lives in the bank book, and your eyes look up, laughing from the carpet on the floor, and we still drink from your silver cup. It is a year again since they poured the dumb ground into your mouth. And yet we know, by some recurring word or look caught unawares, that you still drive our thoughts like the smart cobs of your youth, when you and the world were alive. A year again, and we have fallen on bad times since they gave you to the worms. I am ashamed to take delight in these rhymes without grief, but you need no tears. We shall never forget nor escape you, nor make terms with your enemies, the swift departing years.
Sidney was still at boarding school when the Second World War began, and when, in June 1940, France fell to the Nazis.
Look, Amy!
And you, Victor, look!
The birds have taken all our cherries. Down in the brown-walled orchard on the hillside, the cherry trees are weeping for their fruit.
Only the clusters of green stalks remain. The stones are scattered on the grass.
There will be no more cherries. Not this summer. Nor next, if we get another.
God, it's beyond bearing that they eat our cherries and fly away and leave the trees in mourning.
Soon an invader will be taking more than cherries.
They'll be stealing our dreams or breaking up our history for firewood.
Now, take this moment and create its image impregnable to time or trespasser, and turn your mind to realise your loss.
The cherry trees are broken, and their fruit sown on the indecipherable mountains.
Realise your loss, and take it in your hands and turn it like a pebble. You perceive it has a stone's dumb smell. Its patterns plot some forgotten map. Regard your loss.
Planting this lump of pain, perhaps a flower might burst from it. Perhaps a cherry tree, perhaps a world or a new race of men.
Regard your loss. The blossoms of the cherry are rotten now. The branch is violated. The fruit is stolen, and our dreams have failed.
Yet somewhere, oh, beyond what bitter ranges, a seed drops from the sky, and like a bomb explodes into our orchard's progeny. And so our care may colonise a desert.
They cannot break our trees or waste our dreams, for their despoiling is a kind of sowing.
Amy and Victor, stop crying. Can't you understand? They cannot steal our cherries or our joy.
Let them take what they want, even our dreams. Somewhere our loss will plant a better orchard.
In October, aged 18, Sidney started a history degree at Queen's College, Oxford, making friends with fellow student poets like John Heath Stubbs and Drummond Allison, though he never got on with another contemporary, Philip Larkin. One of his best friends was Michael Mayer, for whom he wrote a birthday squib, Cold Comfort for Mr. Mayer.
So he could say, climbing his twisted scaffold above the pit of intellectual pride, let any man strike a hard fist against us, we echo dully. There is nothing inside.
Our ancestors all turn to drugs and drink. Our children will be acrobats or fools. In 20 years, the only thing we've learnt is how to lose the game and keep the rules.
We have no principles, but strong opinions. We are not honest, and we do not care. Only in verses or the cricket field we move with some assurance.
Only there.
Sidney was always obsessed with the lives of historical and literary subjects, especially poets, like John Clare, W.B. Yeats, William Wordsworth, and the ancient bards.
Now it is time to remember the winter festivals of the old world, and see their raftered halls hung with hard holly, tongues confusion, slow beat of the heated blood in those great palaces decked with the pale and sickled mistletoe, and voices dying when the blind bard rises robed in his servitude, and the high harp of sorrow sounding stills those upturned faces.
Oh, it is such long learning, loneliness and dark despite, to master the bard's blind craft. In bitterness of heart, to strike the strings and muster the shards of pain to harmony, not sharp with anger to insult the merry guest. Oh, it is glory for the old man singing dead valour and his own days coldly cursed.
how 10 men fell by one heroic sword, and a fierce foray by the unwatched ford. Sing, blinded face, quick hands in darkness groping, pluck the sad harp, sad heart, forever hoping Valhalla may be songless. Enter the moment of your glory, out of clamour, moulding your vision to such harmony that drunken heroes cannot choose but honour your stubborn, blinded pride, your inward winter.
In the summer of 1941, the Slade School of Fine Art was evacuated to Oxford. At a party, Sidney was introduced to 2 young art students, Renee Jane Scott and her roommate, Mullion Cosman.
He said,
"Dance for me."
and he said,
"You are too beautiful for the wind to pick at or the sun to burn."
He said,
"I'm a poor tattered thing, but not unkind to the sad dancer and the dancing dead."
So I smiled, and a slow measure mastered my feet, and I was happy then. He said,
"My people are gentle as lilies, and in my house there are no men to wring your young heart with a foolish pleasure."
Because my boy had crossed me in a strange bed, I danced for him and was not afraid. He said,
"You are too beautiful for any man to finger. You shall stay a maid forever in my kingdom and be comforted."
He said,
"You shall be my daughter, and your feet move in finer dances, maiden, and the hollow halls of my house shall flourish with your singing."
He beckoned, and I knew that I must follow into the kingdom of no love.
Mullion Cosman was 20 years old, from Dusseldorf in Germany. Vibrant, talented and beautiful, she was Jewish and had managed to escape to England just a few weeks before war broke out.
There was a girl. She's in you when you look at the east, or when you dream of woods in a forgotten country of waters, when you smell the soil in autumn, when you taste the red, sharp berries of October. There was a fear over that country, the grey town and the girl, and it is ours. They came together, these fears, one summer, when a great man took power like a sickness, losing himself in power. Fear ate at every place. Immodest, sly watcher in the mind.
Mullion's story brought vividly home to Sidney the horrors of Nazi persecution and the terrible plight of refugees, inspiring his poem, Europe's Prisoners.
Never a day passes but I remember them. Their stone-blind faces beaten by arc lights, their eyes turned inward seeking an answer in their passage homewards. For being citizens of time, they never would learn the body's nationality. Tortured for years now, they refused to sever spirit from flesh or accept our callow century. Not without hope, but lacking present solace, the preacher knows the feel of nails and grace. The singer snores. The orator's facile hands are fixed in a gesture no one understands. Others escaped, yet paid for their betrayal. Even the politicians with their stale visions and cheap flirtation with the past will not die any easier at the last. The ones who took to garrets and consumption in foreign cities found a deeper dungeon than any Dachau. Free, but still confined the human lack of pity split their mind. Whatever days, whatever seasons pass, the prisoners must stare in pain's white face, until at last the courage they have learned shall burst the walls and overturn the world.
Sidney fell instantly and hopelessly in love with Mullion. She became his muse, inspiring many poems, including his Hopes for a Lover.
I'd have you proud as red brocade, and such a sight as Venus made, extravagantly stepping from a shell. I'd have you clear your way before, with such a look as Aias wore on his way back from hell. I'd have you strong as Spider's strand, and all volcanic as the land where the nymph fooled that cunning Ulysses. I'd have you arrogantly ride love's flurry, as the turning seas bore Arion upon a fish. My last and dearest wish, that you should let the arrows of my pride come at you again and again, and never touch you.
Now that, my dearest, it is darkening, and the small rain enters my valley, I think of others who would not be amazed at war, who held their stinted plot of mind with awkward courage against the logic of historians and women's quick contempt, and were not forgotten. Tonight, I'm thinking of these and of you, my dearest, sheltered but not secure in my country pleasures. We must create our peace. Our war is private. For while you face the canvas and my hand walks on the paper, we can take no rest nor comfort, but must learn their courage.
But his love was not returned. Mullion saw Sidney as just a good friend and was not remotely attracted to him.
The speech of empty streets reiterates what I have come to fear. The door shut and the key lost, and no more to be said under the arch, my dear. In the room I cannot see you stand with shadows tangled in your hair, like grass from living meadows. Then seeing I cannot see you now, or share your dreams and the night's progress, I climb the dark stair, and separate in time and place, I remember continually the moonlight's distraction on your face, taking its identity.
He poured his unrequited love into his work, like his poem, The Gardener.
If you will come on such a day as this, between the pink and yellow lines of parrot tulips, I will be your lover. My boots flash as they beat the silly gravel. Oh, come, this is your day. Were you to lay your hand like a veined leaf upon my square-cut hand, I would caress the shape of it, and that would be enough. I note the greenfly working on the rose. Time slips between my fingers like a leaf. Do you resemble the silent, pale-eyed angels that follow children? Is your face a flower? The lovers and the beggars leave the park, and still you will not come. The gates are closing. Oh, it is terrible to dream of angels.
Sidney's love placed Mullion in an impossible position, finding herself torn between not wanting to hurt his feelings and being deeply uncomfortable at being placed on a poetic pedestal.
Up among the ice, I and my garland of hard stonecrop fare as well as princes. Never near my brittle heart venture you or any striver or talker or proud mountaineer. I am the glass girl of a crazy tale, distracted by a pebble's size and every mountain's cringing littleness. Your words growl in my brain like moving screes until I fear your talking and my pain.
Although his love life was a failure, his poetry was beginning to get attention. He edited a volume of 8 Oxford poets, including Drummond Allison and Keith Douglas, who were also to become war poets.
I am the man who looked for peace and found my own eyes barbed.
I am the man who groped for words and found an arrow in my hand.
I am the builder whose firm walls surround a slipping land.
When I grow sick or mad, mock me not nor chain me.
When I reach for the wind, cast me not down.
Though my face is a burnt book and a wasted town.
In early 1942, only a year and a half into his degree, Sidney was called up to serve in the army.
Time will not grant the unlined page completion, or the hand respite. The Magi stray, the heavens rage, the careful pilgrim stumbles in the night. Take pen, take eye, and etch your vision on this unpropitious time. Faces are fluid, actions never reach perfection, but in reflex or in rhyme. Take now, not soon. Your lost minutes roost home like curses. Niccolo, Martin, every unhoused ghost proclaims time's strange reverses. Fear was Donne's peace. To him, charted between the minstrel cherubim, terror was decent. Rilke tenderly accepted autumn, like a rooted tree.
But I am frightened after every good day that all my life must change and fall away.
Sidney Keyes began his army basic training in Omagh, Northern Ireland, in April 1942. Stubbornly unsoldierly, and even bullied, he found his sudden immersion into military life overwhelming, as he became an Ulster soldier.
Rain strikes the window. Miles of wire are hung with small, mad eyes. Night sets its mask upon the fissured hill. The soldier waits for sleep's deception, praying thus.
O land of battle and the rough marauders lying under this country, spare me from my mind.
This year is blackened. As your faces blackened, turn to the bedrock.
Let me not be rotted. My limbs be never shackled in the roots of customary sin, as yours are bound with oak and hawthorn. Spare me from my mind.
We come of a very old, related race. Drivers of cattle, kings, incendiaries, singers and callous girls. We know the same perplexities and terrors, whether to turn back on the dark road, whether to love too much and lose our power, or die of pride. The fear of steel, or that the dead should mock us. These trouble our proud race.
Protect me now.
The wind cries through the valley. Clouds sprawl over this exiled soldier, sprawling on his bed. Sleep takes the bartered carcass, not the brain.
It's only love could save him from his mind.
Sidney remained obsessed with Mullion, still dreaming that they would be together one day, as he wrote in A Hope for Those Separated by War.
They crossed her face with blood. They hung her heart. They dragged her through a pit full of quick sorrow. Yet her small feet ran back on the morrow.
They took his book and caged his mind in a dark house. They took his bright eyes to light their rooms of doubt. Yet his thin hands crawled back and found her out.
After passing basic training, Sidney moved to Dunbar in Scotland in May 1942 to train as an officer. Granted leave in July, he desperately tried to see Mullion. When she refused to meet him, he finally accepted that she would never return his love. He poured his heartbreak out in poems such as North Sea and A Letter from Tartary.
The evening thickens. Figures like a frieze cross the sea's face, their cold, unlifted heads disdainful of the wind that pulls their hair. The brown light lies along the harbour wall. And eastward looking, eastward wandering, I meet the eyes of Heine's ghost, who saw his failure in the grey forsaken waves at Rullenstein one autumn. And between rises the shape, in more than memory, of Dusseldorf, the ringing, river-enfolding city that brought such sorrow on us both.
Look now! I'm sending you the only token my broken heart can spare. A ring, set with a reptile's eye, the poor and only symbol my straying mind can find. A dragon once wore it, girl. Blue and unpitying eye of his malice in a mountain lake. They trapped him with a kid, tore out those eyes and let him starve. Wear it until you die, and say to every man you take, a silly singer put this cracked sapphire on my finger. A harebrained king gave me this ring, beware. Don't look for me. I've gone to meet the winter by the long wall. A hard wind whips my face, already loaded with the bitter sand of Tartary. My eyes are weak. Forget the songs I made you, the coloured supple dancers, the junketings and lanterns, the pale leaves of maple falling in the night you sang to a guitar and wildered me. But think when you're alone. You've lost a poet, made a king mad, driven a man frantic. You won't forget our days any more than I. I wish I had you still. I wish you dead and cannot rest for hating you. Oh, lovely, think of my end and be sick in your bed. It is a long way back, and a long way to where I'd be. Time will not pass. I've grown old since this journey started, and my mind will not stay still. Oh, could I only turn back to those curious gardens, palaces of jade and courtyards, stand by the carven gate and find my girl there, neither proud nor unwilling.
As his army training intensified, Sidney began to prepare himself for the reality of war and the possibility of an early death.
This is the day his death will be remembered by all who weep. This is the day his grief will be remembered by all who grieve. The winds run down the ice-begotten valleys, bringing the scent of spring, the healing rain, but the healing hands lie folded like dead birds. Their stillness is our comfort, who have seen him. But for the mother, what can I find of comfort? She who wrought glory out of bone, and planted the delicate tree of nerves, whose foliage responded freely to the loving wind. Her grief is walking through a harried country, whose trees, all fanged with savage thorns, are bearing her boy's pale body worried on the thorns.
Knowing that he would soon be at war, and seeking some comfort from his love of history, he confronted his future as a fighting soldier in his first epic poem, The Foreign Gate.
The cold hand clenches. The stupid mouth writhes like a ripple. Now the field is full of noises and dead voices.
My rags flap, though the great flags are trampled.
My mouth speaks terror and truth instead of hard command.
Remember the torn lace? The fine coats slashed with steel instead of velvet? Kernersdorf, fought in the shallow sand, was my relief.
I rode to Naseby.
And the barren land of Tannenberg drank me. Remember now the grey and jointed corpses in the snow, the struggle in the drift, the numb hands freezing into the bitter iron.
At Dunkirk, I rolled in the shallows, and the living trod across me for a bridge.
Let me speak out against this sham of policy, for pain alone is true. I was a general who fought the cunning Africans, returned crowned with harsh laurel, frantically cheered through Roman streets. I spoke of fame and glory. Women grabbed at my robe. Great poets praised me. I died of cancer, screaming in a year.
I fell on a black Spanish hillside under the thorn hedge, fighting for the dream that troubled me in Paris, vomited my faith and courage out among the stones.
I was a barb of light, a burning cross of wooden canvas falling through the night.
I was shot down at morning in a yard.
The moon regards them without shame. The wind rises and twitters through the wreck of bone.
A soldier's death is hard. There's no prescribed or easy word for dissolution in the army books.
The uniform of pain with pain put on is straighter than any lover's garment. Yet the death of these is different, and their glory greater.
Once men, then moving figures on a map, patiently giving time and strength and vision, even identity, into the future's keeping. Nourished on wounds and weeping faces and laughing flags and pointed laurels, their pain cries down the noise of poetry.
So muffle the soldier's drum, forget the battles. Remember only fame's a way of living.
The writing may be greater than the speaking, and every death, for something different from time's compulsion, is a written word.
Whatever gift, it is the giving remains significant.
Whatever death, it is the dying matters.
Emblematic bronze eagle or bright banner or carved name of fighting ancestor, these never pardon the pain and sorrow.
It is the dying pardoned.
For something different from man or emblem.
Then drape the soldier's drum, and carry him down beyond the moon's inspection, and the noise of bands and banners and the striking sun.
Scatter the soldier's emblems and his fame.
Shroud up the shattered face, the empty name.
Speak out the word and drape the drum.
And spare the captive brain, the feet that walk to war.
The iron-bound brain, the hand unskilled in war.
The shrinking brain, sick of an inner war.
Heartbroken by Meline's rejection, to his surprise, Sidney found himself turning to her roommate, Renee Jane Scott, also an artist, and as fair as Meline was dark. Tentatively, Sidney and Renee Jane began a relationship.
How shall I sing for you, sharing only the scared dream of a soldier, a young man's unbearable dream of possession? How shall I sing for you, with the foul tongue of a soldier? We march through new mountains, where crows inhabit the pitiful cairns. At morning the rock pools are matted with ice, but you are the mountains, and you the journey. We lie in a ruined farm, where rats perform marvels of balance among the rafters, and rain kisses my lips, because you are the sky that bends always over me. How shall I sing for you, knowing only the explorer's sorrow, the soldier's weariness? New ranges and rivers are never quite revealing your promised figure. How dare I sing for you, I, the least worthy of lovers you've had? You, the most lovely of possible landscapes.
Although Sidney and Renee Jane became lovers and spoke of getting engaged, their new relationship was not always easy.
The doubtful season of the brain's black weather blew through me, but you waited for its end. My months were all named backwards till you showed me that even the mind is not deceived forever. Oh, in October it would be the blazoned leaves of the chestnut on the cobbled pavement, and we would seek in the corridors of autumn denial of faith and of the summer's achievement. And in the early year, it was another sign of evasion when the poplars clattered to sharpened ears above the metal river, and I would turn to find your eyes were shuttered. Even that almost parting on the stair I could not understand, nor why the candles sprouted such flowers between our sculptured faces, nor why the river glinted in your hair. Oh, in July, it was our love was started, like any hare among the watchful grasses. Its running is my song, my only story, how time turns back and the doubtful season passes.
Finally, in February 1943, Sidney was granted a last leave before going overseas. He managed to see Meline very briefly and told her about his relationship with Renee Jane.
For the first time ever, I hugged him, jubilantly joyous at the news of liberation. It was thoughtless and cruel, and I've often been saddened by my show of delighted relief. A day later, I found a note from Sidney on the stairs. See you in spring, or in Valhalla.
He would never see either of them again.
Not chosen, but unsure protagonist of my father's folly and his father's greed, I rake the acre that I should have sown, and burn the corn to save next season's seed. Forgive my heavy hands their new precision, learnt otherwise than we had wished or hoped. Look not too closely as I move beside you. My feet are shackled and my neck is roped. I am the watcher in the narrow lane. My tongue is schooled in every word of fear. Oh, take me back. But as you take, remember, my love will bring you nothing but trouble, my dear.
There's no hope in hoping now. God has left us, like a girl.
On March the 16th, 1943, Lieutenant Sidney Keyes of 14 Platoon, C Company, 1st Battalion, the Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment, boarded a troop ship to join the Allied offensive in North Africa.
The drums mutter for war, and soon we must begin to seek the country where they say that joy springs flower-like among the rocks, to win the fabulous golden mountain of our peace.
Oh, my friends, we are too young for explorers, have no skill, nor compass, nor even that iron certitude which swung our fathers at their self-fulfilling north.
So take no rations. Remember not your homes. Only the blind and stubborn hope to track this wilderness. The thoughtful leave their bones in windy, foodless meadows of despair.
Never look back, nor too far forward search for the white Everest of your desire. The screes roll underfoot, and you will never reach those brittle peaks which only clouds may walk.
The fifes cry death, and the sharp winds call. Set your face to the rock. Go on. Go out into the badlands of battle, into the cloud wall of the future, my friends, and leave your fear.
Go forth, my friends. The raven is no sibyl. Break the cloud's anger with your unchanged faces. You'll find, maybe, the dream under the hill, but never Canaan, nor any golden mountain.
As their voyage neared the North African coast, Sidney wrote,
I have photographs of M and RJ over my bed. Is this vanity because they're both so beautiful? But I never dream of them, and rarely think of them for long. I am thankful above all for my friends, for I have been undeservedly lucky in the friends I have made. Only by the closest and most sensitive personal relationships is it possible to withstand the weight of eternity that lies upon us. I am thankful that I have been able to speak, even if I have spoken wrongly. One day I shall perhaps learn better.
His ship first docked in Algiers. Then the troops re-embarked for Bonn, closer to the fighting in Tunisia. Landing in the port in the middle of a particularly violent air raid, Sidney's Batman remembered years later how Sidney refused to take cover until all his men were safe.
Some were unlucky. Blown a mile to shoreward, their crossed hands lie among the bitter marsh grass. Link arms and sing. The moon sails out, spreading distraction on the faces, drawing the useful hands to bird claws.
If a ring flashes, what matter? Other hands are ringless. We'll never go home tonight. Never tonight.
And some shall be pulled down, revolving sickly on the tide's whim, their bare feet scraping sand.
The moon is out, my lady, lady of different voices and gestures, with the same cold eyes. The buoy swings ringing. Under the curved seawall, my hands reveal your soundings all the same.
Some were more gallant, dragged across the seabed in iron cages, coughing out their lungs.
Singing in bars, running before the 7 set winds of the heart, bearing our weakness bravely through all the frigid seasons. We have weighed the chances against us, and refused no kisses, even the tide's kiss, on this dog-toothed shore.
For some are lucky, leaving their curved faces propped in the moonlight, while their bodies drown.
On April the 12th, 1943, the 1st Royal West Kents joined the fighting in Tunisia.
I'm writing in a tiny shut-in valley among the mountains, with a clear stream in the bottom and filled with cypresses and fig trees. I can hear the Arabs shouting to their flocks and playing crazily like crickets on their reed pipes. The whole scene is quite perfect, like something staged. I shall have a lot to say about all this when the time for speaking returns. I cannot think that this campaign can last much longer. But after that, who knows? The only way back seems to be through armed Europe. I am not in much of a hurry, but I will get back sometime if it's humanly possible, and I've never yet failed to do anything I set myself to do.
For 2 weeks, his company held the line and patrolled German-held territory. His comrades particularly remembered Sidney's bravery. On the night of April the 28th, 1943, his company attacked.
The red rock wilderness shall be my dwelling place, where the wind soars at the bluffs, and the pebble falls like thunder. I shall watch the clawed sun tear the rocks asunder. The 7-branched cactus will never sweat wine. My own bleeding feet shall furnish the sign. The rock says,
Endure.
The wind says,
Pursue.
The sun says,
I will suck your bones and afterwards bury you.
Advancing through a minefield and fighting hard, Sidney's company captured their objective at bayonet point. At 2 a.m. on April the 29th, 1943, knowing that a counterattack was inevitable, Sidney and 9 men under his command were sent forward on reconnaissance.
Here, where the horned skulls mark the limit of instinct and intransigent desire,
I beat against the rough-tongued wind towards the heart of fire.
So knowing my youth, which was yesterday, and my pride, which shall be gone tomorrow,
I turn my face to the sun, remembering gardens planted by others.
Longinus, Guillaume Dolores, and all love's gardeners in an early May.
Oh, sing, small ancient bird, for I am going into the sun's garden, the red rock desert I have dreamt of and desired more than the lilac's promise.
the flowers of the rock shall never fall.
Oh, speak no more of love and death, and speak no word of sorrow. My anger's eaten up my pride, and both shall die tomorrow. Knowing I am no lover, but destroyer, I am content to face the destroying sun.
There shall be no more journeys, nor the anguish of meeting and parting, after the last great parting from the images of dancing, and the gardens where the brown bird chokes in its song, until that last great meeting among mountains, where the metal bird sings madly from the fire.
Oh, speak no more of ceremony, speak no more of fame. My heart must seek a burning land to bury its foolish pain.
By the dry river at the desert edge,
I regret the speaking rivers I have known, the sunlight shattered under the dark bridge, and many tongues of rivers in the past. Rivers and gardens, singing under the willows, the glowing moon.
and all the poets of summer must lament another spirit's passing over.
Oh, never weep for me, my love, or seek me in this land, but light a candle for my luck, and bear it in your hand.
The patrol spotted German paratroops massing for a counterattack in the distance, and Sidney sent most of his troops back to warn the others. Sidney Keyes was last seen alive in the first light of dawn, standing shoulder to shoulder with his orderly, firing their submachine guns at the advancing enemy.
In this hard garden, where the earth's ribs lie bare from her first agony,
I seek the home of the gold bird, the predatory phoenix.
oh, louder than the tongue of any river call the red flames among the shapes of rock.
And this is my calling.
Though my love must sit alone with her candle in a darkened room, listening to music that is not present, or turning a flower in her childish hands, and though we were 1,000 miles apart.
This is my calling, to seek the red rock desert, and speak for all those who have lost the gardens, forgotten the singing, yet dare not find the desert, to sing the song that rises from the fire.
The German counterattack wiped out Sidney's company, and the survivors were taken prisoner. In the confusion, nobody knew what had happened to Sidney and his orderly, and both were listed as missing in action.
It is not profitable to remember how my friends fell. My heroes turned to squalling puppets of history, though I would forget the way of this one's failure, that one's exile.
How the small foreign girl grew crazed with her own beauty.
How the poet talks to the wall in a deserted city.
How others danced until the Tartar wind blew in the doors.
Or sitting alone at midnight heard Solomon Eagle beat his drum in the streets.
This is the time to ask their pardon for any act of coldness in the past.
There is no kind of space can separate us, no weather, even this cruel sun, can change us. No dress, though you in shining satin walk, or you in velvet, while I run in tatters against the fiery wind.
There is no loss, only the need to forget.
This is my calling.
Within a few weeks, Tunisia fell, and all of North Africa was in Allied hands.
But behind me, the rattle of stones underfoot. Stones from the bare ridge rolling and skidding. A voice I know, but had consigned to silence. Another calling, my own words coming back.
And I would follow after you, though it were 1,000 mile, though you crossed the deserts of the world to the kingdom of death, my dear. I would follow after you and stand beside you there.
Sidney Keyes' grave was not discovered for another 2 months, a mile behind what would have been enemy lines. Nobody knows for sure when or how he was killed. The poems that he had been writing during his 2 weeks of active service were lost forever on the battlefield.
Who is this lady flirting with the wind, blown like a tangle of dried flowers through the desert? This is my lover, whom I left alone at evening between the candles, white fingers nailed with flame in an empty house.
Here we have come to the last ridge, the river crossed and the birds of summer left to silence. And we go forth together with our lank shadows dogging us, scrambling across the raw red stones.
There is no parting from friends, but only from the ways of friendship.
Nor from our lovers, though the forms of love change often, as the landscape of this journey to the dark valley where the gold bird burns.
I say, love is a wilderness, and these bones proclaim no failure but the death of youth.
Renee Jane Scott married someone else just a few weeks before Sidney was killed. Her 21-year-old brother was also killed in Tunisia a few days before Sidney. She died in 2002 at the age of 83.
We say you must be ready for the desert, even among the orchards starred with blossom, even in spring, or at the waking moment when the man turns to the woman and both are afraid.
All who would save their life must find the desert. The lover, the poet, the girl who dreams of Christ, and the swift runner crowned with another laurel.
They all must face the sun, the red rock desert, and see the burning of the metal bird. Until you have crossed the desert and faced that fire, love is an evil, a shaking of the hand, a sick pain draining courage from the heart.
We do not know the end. We cannot tell that valley's shape, nor whether the white fire will blind us instantly.
Only we go forward. We go forward together, leaving nothing except a worn-out way of loving.
Mullion Cosman went on to an acclaimed career as an artist and illustrator, and married a fellow refugee from the Nazis, the music critic Hans Keller. She died in 2017, aged 96.
Flesh is fire. The fire of flesh burns white through living limbs, a cold fire in the blood. We must learn to live without love's food.
We shall see the sky without birds. The wind will blow no leaves, will ruffle no new river. We shall walk in the desert together.
Flesh is fire, frost and fire. We have turned in time. We shall see the phoenix burning under a rich tree. Flesh is fire.
Solomon Eagle's drum shall be filled with sand. The dancers shall wear out their skillful feet.
The pretty lady be wrapped in a rough sheet.
Sidney Keyes was killed on or about the 29th of April, 1943. He was 20 years old. He lies buried in Massacre War Cemetery, Tunisia. His epitaph reads, "A poet of great promise."
We go now, but others must follow. The rivers are drying, the trees are falling, the red rock wilderness is calling.
And they will find who linger in the garden. The way of time is not a river, but a pilferer who will not ask their pardon.
Flesh is fire, frost and fire. Flesh is fire in this wilderness of fire, which is our dwelling.
Remember Your Lovers was devised by Neil McPherson from the poetry of Sidney Keyes and was directed by Catherine Harvey. It was performed by Catherine Harvey, Alexander Knox, Neil McPherson, Annabel Mullion, Louise Newberry, Whoopie van Raam, Wilda Renzy-Martin and Claire Bloom. Music was by Walter Lee, killed in action in Tobruk in 1942. Additional music was The Medieval Banquet by Shane Ivers. The Associate Director was Erica Miller. It was recorded by Angus Chisholm and Catherine Harvey, and edited by Angus Chisholm and Iain Mackness. The sound designer was Iain Mackness. Remember Your Lovers was recorded at Empress Studios with thanks to the Earls Court Development Company at the Finborough Theatre and at Work Central in Brighton. It was produced by Rhyme and Reason in association with Roguegunners Productions and the Finborough Theatre. Remember Your Lovers is dedicated to the memory of Angus Chisholm, 1982 to 2024.